Hello everyone, and welcome to my YNR Official 24 channel. Mariah Copeland is led away in handcuffs, her face pale with shock, disbelief, and a terror so raw it leaves even the hardened police officers uneasy. While inside the house, Dominic Newman Copeland's crib sits heartbreakingly empty, a silent accusation echoing through every room, and Tessa Porter collapses into a chair, trembling, barely able to breathe as the unthinkable reality sets in. Their son is missing, and the woman she loves most in the world is being treated like a criminal. The nightmare begins earlier that same day, when Mariah wakes with a sense of dread she can't shake, the kind of heavy feeling that clings to her chest and whispers that something is terribly wrong. And when she goes to check on Dominic, expecting to see his sleepy smile and tiny fists waving in the air, she finds the crib empty, the baby monitor strangely silent, and a cold wave of panic crashing over her as she screams for Tessa, her voice breaking as the word "Dom" echoes through the house. What follows is chaos. Phones dropped, frantic calls to the police, Sharon rushing over in tears, Nick arriving with a fury fueled by fear, and Abby collapsing into Devon's arms as the devastating truth becomes unavoidable. Dominic has vanished without a trace. At first, no one even considers Mariah as a suspect, because how could they? She's Dominic's devoted mother, the woman who carried him, who sang him to sleep, who would lay awake at night just to make sure he was breathing. But as the investigation unfolds, disturbing details begin to surface that make the situation far more complicated and infinitely more tragic. The police learned that Mariah was the last person alone with Dominic, that she had been struggling emotionally in recent weeks, plagued by nightmares and flashbacks tied to the trauma of carrying the baby and then giving him up, and that she had recently missed therapy appointments she swore she was attending. Sharon, torn apart by guilt, realizes she may have been in denial about how deeply her daughter was spiraling, while Tessa replays every moment she dismissed Mariah's anxiety as exhaustion, every time she said, "You're fine, babe," when Mariah clearly wasn't. The most damning discovery comes when security footage from a nearby road shows Mariah's car driving away from the house late at night, long after she claimed to have gone to bed, and when confronted, Mariah can't explain it, not because she refuses to, but because she genuinely can't remember, her mind fractured by stress, grief, and something far darker lurking beneath the surface. The arrest is swift and brutal, unfolding in front of horrified family members as Mariah insists through sobs that she would never hurt Dominic, that she loves him, that something is wrong, that she's being set up, or that she herself doesn't understand what happened. But the evidence, circumstantial though it may be, is enough for the police to take her in for questioning. And Tessa's world shatters as she watches the love of her life disappear into the back of a squad car, the door slamming shut like a judge's gavel sealing their fate. Alone in the aftermath, Tessa spirals into pure terror, her thoughts racing between unbearable possibilities. What if Mariah did something during a dissociative episode? What if someone manipulated her fragile mental state? What if Dominic is hurt, cold, crying for mothers who can't reach him? And the guilt nearly crushes her as she realizes how close she was to seeing the warning signs and how badly she wants to believe Mariah's innocence, even as fear gnaws at her heart. As the town divides, whispers ripple through Genoa City like poison, with some quietly questioning Mariah's stability and others fiercely defending her, and no one feels the tension more acutely than Abby, whose grief transforms into a volatile mix of anger and despair as she demands answers, her maternal instincts screaming that her son is in danger and time is running out. Devon, trying to be the voice of reason, urges patience and due process, but even he can't ignore the clock ticking louder with every passing hour. Dominic remains missing, and when Chance launches a full-scale investigation, he begins to uncover inconsistencies that suggest this is far more than a tragic case of postpartum trauma gone wrong. A mysterious phone ping near the edge of town, an unidentified vehicle spotted near the house days earlier, and a deleted message recovered from Mariah's phone hint at the possibility of an unseen third party, someone watching, waiting, and exploiting Mariah's vulnerability for reasons still unknown. In the interrogation room, Mariah is barely holding together, her memories fractured and unreliable. Flashes of carrying Dominic, rocking him, singing softly, then darkness, then headlights on an empty road, her hands shaking as she insists she never meant to leave him, never meant to hurt him, and as the detectives press harder, suggesting she snapped under the pressure of giving the baby up, she breaks down completely, sobbing that she loved Dominic too much, that losing him already felt like losing a piece of her soul, and that if anything happened to him, she doesn't know how she'll survive. Sharon, sitting outside the room, is torn between motherly instinct and horrifying doubt, questioning whether her own history of mental illness has somehow cast a shadow over her daughter's life, while Nick rages against the police, convinced they're focusing on the easiest suspect instead of looking for the truth. Meanwhile, Tessa's fear evolves into determination because love refuses to let her give up, and she begins retracing Mariah's steps on her own, uncovering details the police overlooked, including a tense confrontation Mariah had weeks earlier with a shadowy figure who warned her to stay away from what doesn't belong to you, words that now echo ominously in Tessa's mind. As she digs deeper, Tessa starts to suspect that someone may have orchestrated this nightmare, gaslighting Mariah, pushing her toward the edge, and using her fragile mental state as cover to abduct Dominic, and the realization sends a chill through her bones because it means Dominic could still be alive, hidden somewhere, and time is slipping away. The emotional fallout ripples through every relationship as Abby wrestles with the agony of blaming Mariah while still hoping she's innocent. Devin questions whether the family ignored warning signs, and Chance begins to sense that the case is spiraling into something much darker than a simple abduction. A breakthrough comes when a witness reports hearing a baby cry near an abandoned property outside Genoa City, and although the lead turns out to be a dead end, it reignites hope and deepens the urgency, pushing Chance to reconsider Mariah's arrest and focus on the possibility of a calculated crime designed to destroy multiple lives at once. When new evidence reveals that Mariah's car may have been moved without her knowledge, possibly drugging her or manipulating her memory, the foundation of the case begins to crack, and suspicion shifts toward a hidden enemy with a grudge powerful enough to target the Newman Abbott family in the most devastating way imaginable. For Tessa, every minute without Dominic is torture, her terror transforming into raw resolve as she stands by Mariah publicly, declaring her belief in her innocence even as the town judges them, and when she finally visits Mariah in jail, the reunion is heartbreaking. Two women clinging to each other through glass and steel, tears streaming as they promise to survive this nightmare together and bring Dominic home no matter the cost. Mariah, haunted by the possibility that she somehow failed Dominic, begs Tessa to keep fighting, to never let the police stop searching, and to believe that their family is stronger than the darkness trying to tear them apart. As the storyline barrels toward its next shocking chapter, one question looms larger than all the others. Where is Dominic, and who wanted Mariah Copeland destroyed badly enough to frame her for the ultimate crime? With secrets unraveling, alliances tested, and hearts breaking across Genoa City, The Young and the Restless delivers a harrowing tale of love, fear, and survival, proving once again that in a town built on secrets, the truth always comes at a devastating price, and until Dominic is found, no one will ever be the same again. The days that follow Mariah Copeland's arrest unfold like a waking nightmare, each hour stretching endlessly as Dominic remains missing and hope flickers like a dying flame, refusing to go out but growing weaker with every unanswered question. Genoa City seems to hold its breath, the streets quieter than usual, whispers following every Newman, Abbott, and Chancellor wherever they go, because a missing baby is not just a tragedy, it is a wound that cuts through the entire town. Tessa Porter barely sleeps, existing in a haze of fear and caffeine, her phone never leaving her hand, jumping at every vibration, every unknown number, her heart racing with the desperate hope that it will be news of Dominic, good or bad, anything to end the unbearable not knowing. Each night, she sits in Dominic's nursery, surrounded by tiny clothes and stuffed animals, replaying memories in her mind, wondering how their world unraveled so completely without her noticing until it was too late. At the police station, Chancellor finds himself caught between duty and doubt, his instincts screaming that something about this case doesn't add up. He reviews the evidence again and again, Mariah's fragmented memories, the security footage, the phone records, and the more he looks, the more he realizes how circumstantial it all is, how perfectly it frames Mariah while offering no real answers about Dominic's whereabouts. Chance has seen criminals who leave chaos in their wake, but this feels different, colder, more deliberate, like someone planned every step, counting on Mariah's fragile emotional state to do the rest. When Chance quietly orders a deeper forensic review of Mariah's car, including traces of possible sedatives, he knows he's stepping into dangerous territory because if he's right, then they've been chasing the wrong suspect while a very real threat remains free. Abby, meanwhile, is unraveling in ways that terrify even those closest to her. Her grief transforms into obsessive determination as she covers every surface of her home with maps, notes, and timelines, refusing to rest until Dominic is found. She oscillates between blaming herself for trusting Mariah so completely and defending her with ferocity when others dare to suggest she snapped, her emotions raw and unpredictable. Devin tries to ground her, but he is fighting his own demons, haunted by the possibility that Dominic's complicated family dynamic created cracks that someone exploited. Late at night, when Abby finally breaks down, sobbing that she failed her son, Devin holds her and silently vows that no matter who is responsible, they will pay. As public opinion continues to turn against Mariah, Sharon Rosales becomes her daughter's loudest and most unwavering defender, even as guilt eats away at her soul. She revisits every conversation she had with Mariah over the past months, every moment she brushed off concerns as stress or new parent anxiety, and the weight of what she missed nearly crushes her. Sharon confronts the police, the media, anyone who will listen, insisting that Mariah is sick, traumatized, but not dangerous, and that locking her up without finding Dominic is a grave mistake. Her passion reignites painful memories of her own struggles, fueling her resolve to protect her daughter from becoming a scapegoat in a tragedy no one fully understands. Tessa, driven by desperation and love, begins her own investigation in earnest, following the faint threads others overlook. She tracks down the anonymous warning Mariah once mentioned, uncovering a trail that leads to a storage facility rented under a false name, paid for in cash. Inside, she finds nothing but dust and an abandoned baby blanket, not Dominic's, but similar enough to make her knees buckle as the terrifying realization hits her that someone staged breadcrumbs meant to confuse and mislead. When Tessa shares her findings with Chance, he finally voices what he's been thinking all along. This was never about Mariah losing control. It was about someone wanting her to take the fall. The case explodes in a new direction when forensic results confirm traces of a fast-acting sedative in Mariah's car, one that could induce disorientation and memory loss without rendering someone unconscious. The implications are chilling, and when Chance presents the evidence to the district attorney, the pressure to release Mariah mounts, though not without resistance. The damage, however, has already been done. Mariah's reputation shredded, her mental health pushed to the brink, and Dominic still missing. When Mariah is granted bail, she walks out of jail into Tessa's arms, both women shaking with relief and heartbreak, knowing freedom means nothing until Dominic is found. But freedom comes with consequences. Mariah is plagued by overwhelming guilt and terror, haunted by the possibility that even if she didn't take Dominic, her vulnerability made him an easy target. Nightmares consume her, flashes of headlights, a baby crying somewhere just out of reach, and a faceless figure whispering that this is all her fault. Tessa refuses to let her spiral, staying by her side, reminding her constantly that being a victim does not make her responsible. Their bond, tested like never before, becomes both their anchor and their battlefield, as fear and love collide in equal measure. A shocking breakthrough comes when a security camera from a rural gas station captures a woman resembling Mariah, same hair, same posture, carrying a bundled infant into a vehicle, but facial recognition analysis reveals subtle differences, leading Chance to a terrifying conclusion. Someone deliberately impersonated Mariah. The revelation sends shockwaves through the investigation, and attention shifts to a short list of suspects with both motive and access, including individuals with long-standing grudges against the Newman and Abbott families. As Chance digs deeper, he uncovers financial anomalies, burner phones, and encrypted messages suggesting a coordinated plan designed to destroy multiple lives, not just abduct a child. As the net tightens, the emotional toll intensifies. Abby's hope surges at the idea that Dominic might still be alive, but the waiting is unbearable, every hour feeling like an eternity stolen from her son. Devin grows increasingly protective, fearing that whoever took Dominic may strike again if cornered. Sharon fears for Mariah's fragile psyche, while Nick channels his rage into relentless pressure on the police to bring this nightmare to an end. Even Victor Newman senses the gravity of the situation, quietly mobilizing his own resources, determined that whoever dared to target his family will regret it. The story reaches a boiling point when Chance receives a cryptic message containing a single phrase, "He's safer away from all of you." The message, traced to a remote area outside Genoa City, launches a frantic race against time as police converge on an abandoned farmhouse hidden deep in the woods. Tessa insists on going, refusing to be left behind, her fear eclipsed by the desperate need to know the truth. As they approach the property, tension crackles in the air, every sound amplified, every second stretching unbearably long. Inside the farmhouse, they find evidence of recent occupancy, formula cans, a makeshift crib, and finally, the sound everyone has been praying for, a baby's cry. Abby collapses to her knees and sobs as Dominic is found alive, scared but unharmed. Wrapped in a blanket, his cries filling the room like a miracle. The relief is overwhelming, but it is short-lived when the kidnapper reveals themselves, unleashing a final twist that leaves everyone stunned. The abductor confesses not out of remorse, but twisted justification, claiming they were protecting Dominic from a family they believe is cursed by secrets, ambition, and emotional damage. As Dominic is rushed back into his mother's arms, the emotional fallout hits with full force. Mariah breaks down completely, overwhelmed by relief, guilt, and the realization of how close she came to losing everything. Tessa holds her, both women crying openly, knowing that while Dominic is safe, the scars left behind will take years to heal. Abby clings to her son, whispering promises she intends to keep, while Devin looks on, shaken by how fragile happiness truly is. In the aftermath, Genoa City begins the slow process of healing, though nothing will ever be quite the same. Mariah faces the long road to recovery, determined to confront her trauma rather than run from it, while Tessa remains her steadfast partner, their love strengthened by surviving the unthinkable. Abby recommits herself to protecting Dominic at all costs, more aware than ever of how quickly life can shatter. And Chance, haunted by how close they came to irreversible loss, knows this case will stay with him forever. Because in Genoa City, salvation often comes hand in hand with devastation, and even when a child is found alive, the truth leaves behind broken trust, fractured families, and a haunting reminder that darkness can strike when you least expect it. And as the final echoes of Dominic's cries fade into quiet breathing, one truth remains painfully clear. The young and the restless will never stop proving that love is both the greatest strength and the most dangerous vulnerability of all. In the weeks after Dominic's rescue, the emotional shockwaves continue to ripple through Genoa City, refusing to settle into anything resembling normalcy. Though Dominic is physically safe, the trauma lingers like a shadow that follows everyone involved, especially Mariah and Tessa, who now understand how quickly love can be weaponized against the people who feel it most deeply. Mariah struggles to step back into everyday life, haunted by the knowledge that her mind was manipulated, her trust exploited, and her motherhood twisted into a weapon meant to destroy her. Therapy becomes both a refuge and a battleground as she confronts the terrifying realization that even her own memories cannot always be trusted, and she vows never again to ignore the warning signs inside herself, no matter how inconvenient or frightening they may be. Tessa, while relieved beyond words, remains hypervigilant, startled by every unfamiliar sound, every unexpected knock at the door, her protective instincts dialed up to an almost painful intensity. She channels her fear into music, pouring the anguish, guilt, and fragile hope of the past weeks into songs that resonate deeply with those who hear them. Unknown